Hello, in England doing more art books. This one here is a architecture art book about Le Corbusier, French architect and designer, and the book itself is an interesting shape, and you can see the dust jacket and the spine and the text, the way it's presented, and the linen effect is an indicator that it's going to be an interesting book. And apart from the external signs, when you get inside it, you'll see that it's 3rd edition, 1957. So I knew it, being over 50 years old, I knew it was going to be an interesting book, and I had a quick look at it earlier on, and it is an interesting book. It's in French, and apart from all the text, we've got a lot of pictures in this book, and you'll notice that the sheen on the paper is rather magazine-like. So there's a lot of sheets of paper within this book, within the book itself. Excuse me, look at my finger. So he did buildings, particularly in France, obviously, but all around the world. He did Marseille, Paris, and there's some very interesting buildings with ramps for vehicles, which in the day would have been pretty avant-garde. Some of these buildings exist still, some of them don't exist, and there's lots and lots about domestic architecture. Apart from the domestic architecture, there was also some furniture, and you'll see around England and France and everywhere else, this chaise longue is all over the place. It's a recliner, and the frame sits rigid on the ground, and the arc-shaped bed moves separately. So it's quite a clever device, and there are various versions of this recliner. So I'm interested in the furniture particularly. He was doing fitted kitchens, which was spectacular in the 20s and 30s. Chairs. Those chairs could be Italian, they could be Scandinavian, as far as I can tell, but they're his chairs. French chairs, ovens, roof schemes, garden schemes, blocks of housing, whole cities from scratch. So the conceptions, the concepts, and these buildings would have been at home in France, America, to a lesser extent in England, Brazil he built stuff, India he built stuff. So I think for someone who's into architecture, these Le Corbusier books are really, really good. And before I paid for this book, I checked it was priced correctly. I think it was £40, and most of the other ones in the market are the same edition or more money. So I'm always checking the prices when I buy these books. I'm looking at Oxfam, I'm looking at eBay, I'm looking at Abe, A-B-E, and I'm looking at Biblio, and a lot of the books have to be imported, so there are different prices, different currencies and different shipping costs. The next 3 books I want to do are these rather fine folio style books from England, and these were printed in 1962 by Beaverbrook, who owns the Daily Express. So they are described as an Express art book, British painter series. Now these books, folios, whatever you want to call them, are large format, and I bought them to get this one here. I bought 3 of them. Now these 3 books cost £10 including post on eBay in England, and I was delighted to see this Ben Nicholson one. But the reason I'm delighted is because, apart from the size of it, you've got a very, very interesting text, very nicely put together, not too heavy, and you've got very succinct photographs showing where they are, what the subject is. I was very interested to see in this book here that Ben Nicholson went to Malta, and this one is titled Malta. It's from the suite in Malta, and I had a quick look, and there's lots of Malta stuff, titled Malta by Ben Nicholson, featuring Malta, and he has a lot of suns in it and a lot of blocky abstracts. So the book itself goes on through to some beautiful colour plates. Now these colour plates are loose, and behind them they have the description. So we'll do this one here. This one looks like a Mary Fedden to me. If you showed me that, I would say, oh, it's Mary Fedden, who obviously came later. But having been to Malta and having probably met Fedden and Trevelyan, you can see where she's getting some inspiration. And this one here by Ben Nicholson says, "Still life with green jug, 1929, oil on board, 18 by 21 inches. So you can see this book is really well produced. And Fedden obviously was doing the same sort of thing 50, 60, 70 years later. And there's a variety of pictures. Picasso did something like that as well, using text. This is more what I would think of as Nicholson, cello. But you can see, I'm astounded really how good this little book is, and the quality of the book. 1935, it says. Some of the abstracts with circles. Another beautiful plate. Numbered, colour plate 6, 1932 to 35. Another one after Mondrian, I would suggest. 1937, that's in the Tate Gallery. 62 by 69 inches, that's a big picture. Hasn't got solid colours like a Mondrian, it has a texture. There's Trevelyan in there, there's Fedden in there, so again you can see what I'm referring to. This is a very Trevelyan style cloud. Another picture here, St Ives. That is derived from a whole genre of port pictures, fisherman trawler pictures from St Ives, where Nicholson was and Passmore was in 1950. This looks like a Passmore, or it looks like one of the Trevelyan scaffolding ones, which we've sold this year, 1945. So a similar time. I think the one I sold, the Trevelyan scaffolding one, was 1938. So you'll see that the amount of crossover is profound and surprising, and it is disappointing in one way, but nevertheless it's authentic. This crossover between these artists who all knew each other. I was quite surprised to see how similar some of the works are between these artists from England in the same era. 1956. So that is the Ben Nicholson one, which came in a set of 3 for £10. Amongst the other ones were Stanley Spencer, who I don't like at all. I don't know who he is. I think it's tasteless, but we'll look at it very quickly. It doesn't do anything for me at all. There was an artist in England called Beryl Cook who was similar. There was an artist in Malta called George Large who was similar. It's an acquired taste. She's a good artist, of course she is. He is. But aesthetically, I'm not sure it does anything for me at all. Well painted and a lot of work's gone into it, and valuable things, obviously, interesting things, but they're not something that I would want to look at. I tell them, but I don't want to look at them. This is a Cezanne book. Wonderful stuff. Again, loose plates with titles. View of Auvers. View of Gardanne. So these are remarkable colour plates. The Bather, that's in the Museum of Modern Art in New York, according to the description, sorry. Very big size. Tulips and Apples in the Institute of Art of Chicago. Rather strange binding. You seem to often have these folding corners, and often these large format books. Still Life with Cupid, 1895. Okay, so we've had a look at some express art books, which are very inexpensive, and we've had a look at a Le Corbusier architecture book. Thank you very much.